Many of us watched anxiously and listened on May 31st as those events unfolded, and we were shocked and outraged to hear about the attack on the Gaza Freedom Flotilla, and just horrified to learn about the deaths and the wounded at the hands of the Israeli military. So we're really fortunate this afternoon to have two people here with us who were aboard the flotilla. Please join me in welcoming Ann Wright.
Well, thank you very much, Fran, and Code Pink Women for Peace for helping organize this, and the Palestine Solidarity Committee of the University of Texas. It's a real honor to be here in Austin again. I and Joe Meadors, who is a U.S. Navy veteran and a survivor of the USS Liberty attack of the Israeli Navy on a U.S. naval ship 43 years ago. Joe and I were both on the Gaza Flotilla. I want to start out with a very short clip on a book that is just, it hasn't been published yet, but they've just put up a video which has some footage in it of the attack on the Turkish vessel, the Marmara.
Early morning, May 31st, 2010, the Eastern Mediterranean. 6 boats of the Gaza Freedom Flotilla sailed towards the coast to deliver aid to the Palestinians of Gaza, who have been under an illegal Israeli blockade for 3 years. 700 peace activists are on board, including women, children, doctors, priests, writers and journalists. None carry weapons. 4:30 a.m. Israeli commandos boarding from sea and air intercept the flotilla in international waters. They are heavily armed. Within minutes, 9 peace activists are dead, shot by the Israelis. Scores of others are injured. The activists on board the ships are arrested and transported to detention centers in Israel. Their cameras and mobile phones are confiscated. They are then deported. Within hours, outrage at Israel's action echoes around the world. Spontaneous demonstrations in Europe, the United States, Turkey and Gaza itself denounce the attack. Turkey's Prime Minister calls it state terrorism. Even Israel's traditional supporters in the USA are dismayed. Now, in a new book coming this July, a group of activists, journalists and analysts piece together the events of that May night and examine their meaning for the blockade of Gaza and the Israel-Palestine conflict. Mixing first-hand testimony and dramatic photography with hard-headed analysis and historical overview, Midnight on the Mavi Marmara reveals why the attack on the Gaza Freedom Flotilla may just be a turning point, the beginning of the end for apartheid in Israel.
Well, the footage that you saw there is probably the first time you've seen that footage. It's because it was smuggled out by one of the passengers, one of the 750 passengers that were on the 6 boats that were a part of the Gaza Flotilla. There were approximately 600 passengers that were on the Marvi Marmara, where this footage was taken. Neither Joe nor myself were on this boat when the flotilla was attacked. One of the things that we are finding as we speak to audiences all over the country is that most people don't realize that all 6 ships of the flotilla were forcibly boarded, were attacked by the Israeli commandos. Most people don't realize that until this footage was coming out, with this video and actually an hour-long sequence that you can see if you go to Cultures of Resistance, a filmmaker from the United States, Yara Lee, and her photographer, her documentarian, videographer, were able to smuggle out one, what do you call those things that you put in a camera? The camera, the memory card, whatever it is, you know. Everyone was trying to smuggle out memory cards from their cameras, but most of them were found by the Israeli military as they searched each one of us. So now we are seeing, though, of the few memory cards that got out of the flotilla, we're now starting to see some of the footage. Prior to this, we had only seen the footage that the Israeli military wanted us to see, which is pretty common among militaries. That's exactly what the U.S. military does too. The militaries of the world try to contain the information that they have and not, they've got their own points of view, and as we find even with our own military, sometimes it's not the full story. And it's up to us as citizens to try to keep finding these stories and try to shed light on what has happened. Now, the flotilla, the Gaza flotilla, as Fran mentioned, I'd been in Gaza 3 times in the year 2009, 3 times after the Israeli attack on Gaza that started, the 22-day attack that started on December 27th of 2008 and went into January of 2009, in which 1,440 Palestinians were killed, 5,000 Palestinians injured, over 50,000 left homeless, virtually all the infrastructure of Gaza damaged. I went there 10 days after the attack ended and saw the destruction, and I was, as a military officer, I was overwhelmed really with the amount of force that had been used on Gaza. From the Israeli government's point of view, the Israeli government said, well, we were being attacked. We were being attacked by people from Gaza. These rockets were coming into Israel, and it's true. There were thousands of rockets that had been fired from Gaza over a period of 8 years. Thousands of rockets that tragically did kill Israelis. There were 30 Israelis that were killed during that period. But the disproportionate use of force, the numbers of, the 22-day attack on essentially a defenseless people with no anti-aircraft weaponry, with nothing other than those homemade rockets that most Palestinians in Gaza would say, we wish these militant groups wouldn't fire them because we know what the reaction will be. It's predictable. I had been in Gaza 3 times. I had taken various groups into Gaza. We were fortunate to be able to get through that siege, that blockade that had been mounted on Gaza for the last 3.5 years, ever since the election of a group, a political group, an economic group, a social group, a militant group called Hamas. Hamas, a group that is on the U.S. terrorist organization list, as well as on the Israeli terrorist organization list. A group that the international community, led by Israel, the United States, and Egypt, and the European Union, was going to force out of office by instituting sanctions, blockades.